What's up, everybody? So today I just wanted to review Superman Red Sun. Go ahead and show you the front cover, let it focus a little bit. I'll try to get my hands out of the way of the art. Then we'll show you the back. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And then we'll go ahead and we'll throw up the stat sheet. So, Superman Red Sun, the creators on it are Mark Millar, Dave Johnson, and Killian Plunkett. It comes in at roughly 152 pages. It is the same price as every other DC compact, which is $9.99. We're just going to go ahead and call it $10. That's fantastic. Great job with the DC compacts and how they've been pricing the line. I think that's so cool, so smart. This one is on the smaller side. It's a little bit fewer page count than most of the DC compacts, but no big deal. I was able to get this one from Amazon for $9. And I will say, so the Amazon shipping, I'll try to show it here on camera. I don't know if you can tell and if the camera picks it up real well, but right down there, we have a crease in the cover, in the back cover, and it also creased kind of a couple of the back half of the pages. And we also have a ding and some creasing and crumpling right here on the spine, on the lower spine of the book. So it got a little damaged somewhere along the lines between Amazon and me. So it's a bit of a bummer. It didn't ship in mint condition, but that's fine. It's not like falling apart as I read it, so that's all right. Maybe if I find a better copy out in the wild, I'll grab it. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free review of this book. I'm going to go ahead and just right off the bat give it a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. And the only reason I waffle back and forth between those is because it just depends on the day that you catch me, depends on the score that I give it. I thought it was a fun read. It was a great, like, what-if story. I would not recommend this as your first introduction to Superman. I would definitely tell you to go read All-Star Superman. That was amazing. It was phenomenal, 10 out of 10. But with this, it was just a fun side story, a parallel, like, what-if universe where, you know, Superman lands in the Ukraine right around the time of, I believe, what was it, the 1940s? So yeah, so he lands there around the time of, like, Stalin and everything. But the book was a lot of fun. It was a great read. A couple things at the very end of the book is what I docked points for. The ending was good, but not great, but not a big deal. It was a fun read, and I don't think you would go wrong if you picked it up. I think you would actually enjoy it, and you'd like it. But like I said, I don't think it should be your introduction to the character of Superman. First of all, because it's clearly the what-if version. It's not like the mainline continuity. So, anyways, now we're going to jump into the spoiler version. And yeah, so if you just wanted to stick around for the score, there it is, 7.5 or 8, depends on what day you catch me. But yeah, spoiler version. Superman lands in the Ukraine. He's basically, brought up by another family of farmers, kind of like Ma and Pa Kent. So he's raised with pretty much the same principles, the same morals. He wants to be a good person. He wants to help people. So you still get that, mirror from the mainline continuity. And in this one, though, he just happens to land, and he's used by the Soviet Union. Not really used. He's kind of being used for propaganda, basically, because in this, Superman is still doing good deeds. He's still saving people. He's still helping people. So it's kind of like Superman in the mainline continuity, how you think he'd be. But because Stalin is using him for propaganda, and it's putting fear and tension on the rest of the world, everybody's like wondering what they're gonna do. They keep finding out, he's got these new powers. He's fast. He can fly. He's super strong. He's got super breath. Laser eyes. So everybody's like, oh, dang, dude, our military just became obsolete. Like, our defenses against this guy just became obsolete. And you think since he's sided with Stalin that, like, oh man, it's just a matter of time before he comes and basically conquers everybody. Well, that's not really the case. But since everybody's still kind of, afraid because they don't know, so, fear is taken over, the American government reaches out to Lex Luthor, who in this universe, Lex Luthor is actually married to Lois Lane, and she's now Lois Luthor, but he's still a super genius. He's also a bit of a maniacal maniac. Like, he's still screwed in the head, basically. It's Lex. I guess he's pretty much the same in all universes. But with this, they've sought out his help to try to find a way to kill Superman. He's the smartest man on Earth, so they think that he'll be able to figure something out. So this actually starts to consume him. Like, at one point, he even calls Lois to be like, hey, look, this marriage is basically on a temporary hold. I'm devoting all my time, energy, and attention to figuring out a way to kill Superman. But he winds up doing stuff to, like, test Superman at first. Like, he wants to see if he'll save people. So, save people that are other than the people over in the Soviet Union. And he does. So, this kind of makes the rest of the world not as fearful of Superman as they were initially. But Lex Luthor is like, oh, well, that's crazy, but we still gotta kill him, obviously. So Lex then creates a clone of Superman, and he creates, basically, Bizarro. And he's not an identical clone. He's a bit of a monster. But when Bizarro and Superman face off, they actually come to a deadlock, and there's a bomb that's about to explode. And one of the two is going to have to sacrifice themselves to stop the bomb from exploding and, like, destroying countless things like life and innocence in the city. So Bizarro actually freezes Superman, takes the bomb out into space, make sure that the blast won't hurt anybody, and he actually sacrifices himself and saves these people. So there was a little bit of Superman-esque stuff in him. So that was a cool thing. I like that little nod to it. So that was nice. But then Luthor gets, progressively more and more intricate with his plans to try to stop Superman. And it just becomes crazy. And toward the end, it gets real wild. And I'll get into that in a second. But in this book, you get a lot of things like, okay, there's the introduction of this universe's Batman and how he came to be. And then they introduce you to Wonder Woman and her relationship with Superman. And then you later see this version of Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. It's wild. It's so crazy. There was, like, a ton of stuff happening in this book. So the pacing was actually really, really good. It was a bit of a page turner. It kept me going, so I really like that about it. But I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the very end right now, because this is the part where I dock some points because it was just wild. So, Luthor is basically now the President of the United States. We have spanned almost 40 years since the time of Superman and Luthor, like, first coming into contact with each other and basically facing off as rivals. So in that 40 years, a lot has happened. Luthor is now the president, and he's got this big, grand plan worked out to finally kill Superman. And everybody's questioning him. They're like, well, all your other plans didn't work, so what makes you think that this plan will actually be successful? Well, several things happen throughout the story where you now find that Lex is in possession of one of the Green Lantern rings, and he's training Hal Jordan to use it as, a weapon against Superman. He reaches out to Wonder Woman to get her on his side because Superman and Wonder Woman had a falling out when Superman and Batman faced off, because Lex Luthor was trying to get Batman on his side at one point. It was crazy. Luthor was trying to get all these people and throw out all these plans to stop Superman, and Superman just keeps, he keeps coming. He keeps foiling Luthor's plots and plans and all of his strategies and everything. So Luthor at this point you would think would be insanely frustrated, but he's still got, tricks up his sleeve, and now he's decided to just throw everything in the kitchen sink at Superman. Well, you see that somewhere along the line, Luthor had teamed up at one point with Brainiac, but then Superman stops him, and basically he thinks he's reprogrammed Brainiac to be on his side. this is where everything gets a little wild at the end. So Brainiac and Superman are basically on the same team. Superman has been reconditioning certain people who are like nuisances to his, world peace strategy. So he's basically brainwashed them. He's implanted metal implants in their heads, and it's like behavioral adjustment, but like super extreme. Superman and Brainiac start coming up with a plan. They're like, hey, look, if you're going to stop Luthor, you have to stop him now. You have to bring the offensive to him before he gets enough time to enact his grand plan against you, because it's only a matter of time before he's going to strike again, and this time he may be successful. So Superman's like, all right, run the numbers. Brainiac runs the numbers, and he's like, all right, you got to do something, because tonight it's like basically do or die. So Superman goes and he gets ready to attack Luthor, but all of a sudden Luthor just appears in his new Fortress of Solitude, in Superman's Fortress of Solitude, and he's like, hey, the machine is right, Brainiac's right, like this is it, it's do or die, and I've come to stop you. Brainiac sucks up Luthor into this like machine of some sort, and you're like, well, dude, that plan failed automatically. But anyway, you read on, and now the Green Lantern and his other army of Green Lanterns that he's trained that have the power of the Green Lantern light, they're coming, and they're going to attack Superman, and Superman basically stops them, so you're like, okay, well, he beat the Green Lantern threat. And then Wonder Woman comes to fight him, and he stops Wonder Woman, so now he makes his way to America, and he goes to, I believe it's either the White House or the Pentagon, and he sees Lois Lane, and this is like their second meeting. And he says to Lois, look, you got to get out of here. I'm about to destroy this place and everything in a 5-mile radius, and you can't be here. I've got to stop. I've got to stop this, because then and only then can the whole world live in peace, and everyone will just live under my rule, and there won't be crime, and everything will be good, and all that good stuff. And it is crazy, because the part that makes me, I don't know, not angry, but the part that was frustrating was she was like, oh, well, there's one thing you didn't plan for, and it was Luthor's last-ditch effort to stop you. It's a note in her pocket that he reads with his X-ray vision, and it is, oh gosh, where is it? I've got to show you. It's right here. So I don't know if you can read that or if it's coming in good, but it just says, why don't you just put the whole world in a bottle, Superman? And Lex wrote that knowing that one of Superman's greatest failures was the fact that Stalingrad got shrunk down and placed in a bottle, mirroring the events that happened in the mainline continuity where, oh my god, what was that? Was it a world or was it a city of Kryptonians that basically got placed in a bottle, placed in a little jar that Superman looked after? But anyway, Superman felt such regret and failure for not being able to help the people in Stalingrad, get back to normal, and that like really hurt him. That hung over him. That was like a dark cloud that he like just carried around with him. And I guess that was what stopped Superman, which is crazy to me. But anyway, so as he's wrestling with this, he decides to tell Brainiac, look, let's call off the attack. We'll let the Americans be. We'll go back to doing our own thing. And then that's when Brainiac's like, no way, brother. I've been manipulating you this whole time. I've been giving you suggestions that you've been taking that's basically been you unknowingly acting out my will and my desire. And Superman's like, he's mad. He's like, what? But then you find out that Lex Luthor's still alive. He's in that machine that like sucked him up when he landed in the Fortress of Solitude. So he's attacking Brainiac from the inside, and then Superman teams up with Luthor to stop Brainiac. But then Luthor's like, hey, this thing's about to blow, this ship, and apparently it's powered by like black holes. He's like, there's no way you can get it out of range of the Earth in time, and we'll all die now. Everybody's going to be killed, and the world will be destroyed, and this is all over, so none of this matters. And Superman's like, nope, challenge accepted. He takes the ship, flies it all the way out of range, and then right before it blows up, you just see he's like Luthor, you'll never even hear this. You won't even realize what I say, but he was just like, well played, basically, because he feels like this was the plan that Luthor had set for him from the very beginning, and then he blows up, and everything blows up. And then later you see Luthor, he's like, yep, I planned this exact moment to the T 40 years ago. And I was like, alright, okay. So the ending was a little weird. I didn't really like the whole note being the thing that stopped him. I thought, alright, whatever. Like I said, it wasn't bad enough that it ruined my enjoyment of the book, but it definitely was enough that I knocked a couple points off because I was like, all right, whatever. I guess they had to write their way out of this one, and that was how they did it. But you see that Superman actually did not die, so Luthor's calculations were just a little bit off. Superman eventually comes back to Earth. He gets to live amongst them as a regular human. But by that time, Luthor has enacted so many good things for the sake of humanity. It's increased their lifespan. Humans can live to be almost 800 years old. He stops all these diseases, and he slows aging, and life is great, and the economy is great. And then Superman talks about the line of Luthor. He calls it the Luthor Line Age, where all of the descendants of Luthor go on to do amazing things, great things for the world and for humanity. And, you start to see all of the namings of the future Luthors. And it's like, oh, Lori and Laura and all these other ones. And then it becomes, oh, the naming is like their first name and then last name with a couple numbers. And then it's like their first name and a dash L. And eventually it lands on a person called Jor-El. And he has a son. Guess what his son's name is? Kal-El. Isn't that crazy? So I thought that was a cool little full circle loop, but also what I didn't really truly understand is at the end, Jor-El sends Kal-El back across time, and he lands in Ukraine in the same time that our Superman in this universe landed in the Ukraine, and he was found by farmers basically. But apparently the Jor-El there, they were under a red sun by that time, which was crazy. So it was an exploding sun that that spurred him to send his son back in time to live a good life and maybe change the future and the outcome. So it leaves you to questions like, so was this the Superman that we were reading about the whole time, or is this just some weird ending to this story, or is it some sort of closed loop? I don't know. I don't really know, to be totally honest with you, but it was a fun read. It was good. That's why I gave it a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I think you would like it too. If you've already made it this far, you've probably read it because we're talking spoilers. So what did you think of it? Did you enjoy Superman Red Sun? I think it's great. My friend from work tells me that the animation is fantastic, so I'll probably watch that on HBO and check out the Superman Red Sun animation, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was a good story arc. If you pick it up, I don't think you would go wrong with it, but I definitely don't think it should be your first Superman story. But yeah, so this was a good read. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was not, how do I want to put this? It was not one of the better DC comics that I've read, DC Compact Comics, but it was still good. It's nothing like when I read a bad Marvel Premiere Collection or a bad Marvel Compact. This was good. This was actually good. I enjoyed it. So, yeah, check it out. Superman Red Sun. Don't forget, if you made it this far, go ahead and leave a like, comment, tell me what you thought of Superman Red Sun. Have you read it? If not, are you going to? And, yeah, I guess I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.